Hey, what's up everyone? Pete the Guttural Monk here. Slight venue change for this video. It is just far too hot in the other half of my apartment to try to do anything in without air conditioning, so I kind of had to move the operation into the living room this morning. This is the July edition of the 2016 CD collection update videos. I have 17 releases to share with you guys today, 16 on CD and 1 on cassette. I'm going to start with the cassette. This is the debut full-length from Into Coffin. This is Into a Pyramid of Doom. These guys are actually from Germany. This is released on Calgary Records. Cool black pro tape. Really fucking doomed out, like, occult death metal with some long fucking songs. Here is the J card for you guys to check out. There are actually 2 tracks on this album that are over 16 minutes in length. One actually goes over 17 minutes. Kind of a slower, like I said, more doomy approach to, old school-ish, definitely doomed out death metal. Fucking fantastic album, though. Definitely check this one out if you're into that slow, grimy, disgusting, doomy death metal, because it is fucking fantastic. Next up, speaking of doom, this is the second full-length from New York's Blizaro. This is out right now on iVoid Hanger Records. The name of this one is Cornucopia Della Morte. Really fucking cool. Picture Candlemass meets Black Sabbath doom with a little bit of like psychedelic influence, little experimentation as well. A definitely more progressive approach to doom metal. See if you can get a better view of the cover art there. This album absolutely kicks ass. John Gallo and company really outdid themselves on this one. Cannot say enough good things about this. If you're a fan of doom metal, you have to check that out, because honestly I think it's the best doom metal release, traditional doom metal release of the year so far. Next up, on Unspeakable Acts, this is Hemotoxin with Biological Enslavement. Progressive death metal. Picture like the last 3 albums in Death's catalog. That's kind of where the most of the influence for this one comes in. Definitely has a little bit more of a modern spin. It kind of gets a little brutal at times, a little thrashy at times. Actually, the last track, Transparent Eyes, has a similar opening riff to that of like Deadly Sinners from 3 Inches of Blood, so there's definitely a little bit of heavy metal happening as well too. Really like this shit. Definitely, like I said, an old school approach to kind of thrashing, progressive death metal. Fucking awesome album. If I had one complaint about it, it would be the vocals, and that is a very minor complaint. Fantastic album from Hemotoxin. Definitely looking forward to what else they have to offer. And since we're talking about Unspeakable Acts and Dark Descent Records, this is the Unspeakable Acts and Dark Descent Records Sampler 2016. It is 16 tracks. It has a whole bunch of premieres. There's new stuff from Blood Incantation. There's new stuff from Mortal Scepter, Scorched, Lantern, Manic Scum, Ellersith, Obscure Evil, Ruinous. I mean, this has not left one of my CD players since I got it in the mail a couple weeks ago. Matt and Co. were sending this out with every single Dark Descent order, so hopefully you got yourself one. There's also a discount code included on the packaging to use in the Dark Descent web store. So really fucking awesome compilation from Dark Descent Records, a label in my opinion that just keeps getting better and stronger with every single passing release that they do. Really awesome stuff. Next up, this was actually recommended to me by Skinflower, a fellow YouTuber. This is Witch Vomit with A Scream from the Tomb Below, out right now on Memento Mori. These guys are from out in Oregon. Really kind of old school death metal, fucking doomed out, B-flick horror movie influence, just disgusting and campy, but yet so fun. This album caught me on the very first listen. Actually, I bought this album before the stream was finished. Great recommendation from Skinflower. Thanks so much for this one, dude. I actually saw the album artwork floating around in like the prior weeks to you actually recommending it, and for some reason I just never clicked on it. It just seemed like something I may not enjoy. I enjoyed the shit out of this one. So thanks again for that one. Check out Witch Vomit. These dudes, really fucking awesome. Really fucking awesome. So great album from them. Next up, this is the new one from Fallujah. I'll talk about this one first. Nuclear Blast Records. This album is called Dreamless. really fucking killer. Definitely a more like experimental approach to that kind of like deathcore with a lot of like, you know, straight death metal influence as well. Way experimental. There's actually a full track of just electronica on here that caught me by surprise big time the first time I listened to it. But it turns out that it's a really cool kind of deep track, and it really fits in the overall feel of the album. It actually kind of has like a very dream-like feel about this entire album from Fallujah. Technical, they definitely get it done. I like this album a lot. It's not kind of not something that I spin often, but I liked it enough to pick it up for sure. And kind of moving from that to a more like, you know, straight technical death metal release. This is the new one from First Fragment. This was actually recommended to me by a fellow YouTuber by the name of Lavale, and I know he's got great taste in technical death metal because he's a fan of one of my bands. And after I saw this mentioned on EpicDrumLine's page, when he had the CD, he had the vinyl, I knew this was an album that I had to absolutely check out. Don't judge a book by its cover, because I did at first. I don't like that album artwork at all. But this album is absolutely unbelievable. Phil Tugas, who's with Catilis and Zealotry, absolutely kills this album as far as his guitar work goes. I hate using the word neoclassical, but it definitely has that feel to it. I actually like the more kind of like acid jazz and like abstract approach to some of the songwriting that's happening on this album. Super impressive technical death metal release. And it's kind of funny because these tracks were actually written a long time ago. I guess this album has been cooking for a long time, so it definitely has like that feel of when, you know, Necrophagist was like the shit in technical death metal, and now they kind of get poo-pooed on a little bit, but you can definitely feel that embodiment in this album a little bit. And Christian Musner actually does a couple solos on one of the tracks, so that Necrophagist feel, Obscura feel really kind of comes through big time in this one. This is not an album to miss. You have to check this one out. All death metal fans, and especially technical death metal fans, should really have heard that one already. And like I said, don't judge a book by its cover, because the album artwork leads you to believe that it's going to sound like something different than it actually does, and it is just an extremely impressive release. Cannot say enough good things about it. Unique Leader Records, by the way. I don't think I mentioned that one. Straight up, this is my album of the year so far. This is SunWorship with Pale Dawn. SunWorship comes out of Germany. This is just some fucking straightforward black metal with a little bit of progressive nature, a little bit of atmosphere as well. This is out on Golden Antenna Records. 4 tracks, absolutely near fucking perfect black metal album in my opinion. And it's crazy because 2014's Elder Giants didn't do it for me at all. I actually almost wrote this album off, and I said, you know what, I'm not even going to bother checking it out. So glad I did. This is, like I said, currently my album of the year. Cannot say enough good things about SunWorship and Pale Dawn. Make sure you check this out if you haven't. It is fucking stellar, mind-blowing stuff. Next up is actually another recommendation I got from another awesome YouTuber, ClassyLonnieMetal. This is the self-titled Winterlore album out on Slaughterhouse Records. Real folky black metal. This was another one. I wasn't a fan of the first album, the Four Swords to the Pious, and I am so glad that I checked this album out based on Lonnie's recommendation, because this is a fucking killer black metal release. These guys are out from Utah. Really fantastic stuff. Kind of straightforward black metal, little hints of atmosphere here and there, a nice kind of folky kind of overtone to the entire album. Just fantastic stuff. So glad I had it in the collection. I bought it off their Bandcamp page. Those dudes shipped it out in no time. Got it real quick, so really happy to have that one. And Lonnie, thanks again, bro. Keep up all the good work on your channel. Next one is an album that has been talked about for a long time now here on YouTube. I got it late. Fucking Earache took forever to send this one my way. But this is the new one from Vektor. This is Terminal Redo. Serious album of the year contender. This is just unbelievable. This is a fucking masterpiece of progressive thrash metal. Unfucking believable songwriting. If the first track, Charging the Void, doesn't get your attention, then I'm sorry. I don't know what will. Long songs. This album is like 73 minutes long or something like that. But like I said, it is an absolute masterpiece. Not going to dwell on this one too long. Science fiction themed, progressive thrash metal. You know what Vektor's all about by now. This is, I think, their third full length. But this is an absolute must to check out. Like I said, serious album of the year contender. I've spent a lot of time spinning the SunWorship and that one in the last couple weeks. Fucking fantastic releases, as are all of them on the list today. Moving on to the reissues, I've got quite a bit, and actually the last four are four white whales that I feel like I slayed all in one shot. Very excited to get to those. But I'm going to get to two that I have, I guess, a little bit of shame in saying that I didn't own before, but I didn't own anything from Metallica before. I saw these priced extremely well. It was like some kind of Amazon Prime member exclusive or something like that. 1983's Kill Em All, 1984's Ride the Lightning. Cool enough little digibook. I don't really care for it. You can see them kind of up against a jewel case here. They're a little smaller. They don't fit perfectly in the collection, but you know what? I don't care. They're official releases. They're two really great thrash metal albums. I was just never a really huge Metallica fan growing up, but I'm definitely glad I own this one, especially Kill 'Em All, because from No Remorse to Seek and Destroy to Metal Militia, I mean, those three songs to close this album out are fucking fantastic. And for 1983, I mean, it's always amazing to go back and listen to something like that. I was born in '87, so this album's 4 years older than me, and it really kicks ass. Ride the Lightning, of course, is when they began to come into their sound a little bit more. You can feel the songwriting just progress and progress. Really good stuff. It's fucking Metallica, though. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it. But yeah, no shame in saying that I didn't own any Metallica before coming across those two. This one's an awesome reissue. So happy to have this one. This is Wolves in the Throne Room, Diadem of 12 stars. Originally released in 2006. This was just recently put out on their own label just a couple weeks ago. I hope they move through their entire catalog, because I don't own much Wolves in the Throne Room at all. This album is fantastic. Cascadian black metal, atmospheric black metal, super nature themed, very folky. There's some awesome female backing vocals on this album. Really cool stuff. Like I said, very happy to have this. Hope they move through the rest of their back catalog, because I would love to fill the collection with the rest of their stuff. Moving into four of the coolest reissues this year so far. So fucking happy to have these finally. Falls of Rauros, Hail, Wind, and Hewn Oak, The Light That Dwells in Rotten Wood. Amazing atmospheric black metal from Maine. This album is just, it's so fucking awesome. And everything that they've released has just been so awesome. Believe in No Coming Shore was one of my favorite albums of a couple of years ago. The split half that they did with Panopticon, the material there is just so fucking strong. But Falls of Rauros, if you're a fan of atmospheric black metal and black metal, US black metal, and you haven't, given these guys a time of day, now's your chance. You can go back and hear their first two albums, and I mean, fucking killer band that doesn't get as much attention as they should, being that the quality of their material is so fucking high and awesome. Show you just a close-up on both of these before I move on, because I will fanboy about Falls of Rauros all day. These were both released via Nordvis and Bindrune, of course. Just fucking so happy to have these in the collection. This is actually the updated artwork, the one that was on the vinyl release 2 years ago or last year, something like that, on Austin Lund's label. But fuck yeah, Falls of Rauros finally in the collection. And last but not least, speaking of finally in the collection, waited a long time for these. Didn't think I'd ever own them, but bang, the first two Gorguts albums. I mean, ever since I started collecting death metal, like seriously collecting death metal, I can't tell you how many times I almost dropped some really serious money on trying to buy an original copy of this one. I wish I did, but at the same time, I'm kind of glad I didn't, because these reissues are fucking awesome. They sound so good. The artwork looks so fucking good. Gorguts, of course, from Quebec and Canada. They kind of started as a really old school death metal band. obviously old school was 1991, but then they progressed a little bit onto this album, and then obviously everything to come after that, ultimately leading up to the carnation of Gorguts that we have today. It just progressed into this, you know, monster of progressive death metal. But these two albums, fucking 1991 Considered Dead and 1993's Erosion of Sanity, two of the coolest and most, you know, hard to find death metal releases that I can, you know, that I can remember. Absolutely so fucking stoked to own both of these. They're both out on listenable records. Show you the inside real fast. Digipack releases. Like I said, the sound is fucking incredible, and I am just so unbelievably happy to finally own these two classic death metal albums. That's all I got. That was 17 albums, 15 minutes. Not too bad. I hit 300 subs the other day. I know after my last video I said I was about to, but it came through big time, actually over 300 subs already. So thank you all for subscribing. I'm definitely going to do a Q&A or something similar to that to kind of celebrate that milestone there. But, you know, I really do honestly appreciate everybody's support, and the comments are always awesome. I love talking to you guys about metal. Really fucking cool to have a cool community that we can all just discuss our, you know, collecting habits and our you know, taste in metal and all that. So thank you so much, guys. Until next time, though, cheers.